Alright, what's going on, people? Heimerdinger Farms here. Today we're going to be talking about Pokemon, specifically the UU meta on Smogon. And so, I just did a take of this commentary, wasn't really happy with how it came out. So let's fix it for this time. Let's talk about the ladder first things first. When you start Showdown, you enter at the 1000 ranking, right? And so here's how I view the ladder. 1000 to 1100, you have a lot of people playing around with teams. They're probably new to the whole meta. They're still trying to figure out what's good in the tier, like what's a good threat, what has good coverage, what meshes well with other Pokemon. People are still trying to figure all these things out. So the 1000 and the 1100s, I would say, are a haven of experimentation, creativity, but mainly it's an introduction. People are just playing around there. Then you go up to the 1200s, and that is where I believe the optimum balance is struck. And what I mean by that is that at the 1200s, you have people who know the good Pokemon in the tier. They know what works, what doesn't. But they also have the room to experiment, to be creative with their Pokemon. And I think something like that is invaluable, because that kind of experimentation keeps things fresh. You're not facing the same team over and over, you know, with Victini, Metagross, or whatever Blame Truth just used in his session. Hey-o. And so I think the 1200s is a very good place to be. And it's where I think the whole tier should be. But as we go further, that's actually not where it goes. And so pause for a second. This Dazzling Gleam right here, the crit does matter. And it significantly changes the outcome of the game, because then the Spoofy, who I'm playing against, cannot get his hazards off. Quick thing about the gameplay, I'm going to interject at certain times to show you know, good plays or cool things that the opponents did, really, because I didn't do much in these games. But in these games, I'm playing against high-ranked people. These guys are both in the 1400s, and they both, I mean, when you look at their teams, they're pretty defensive. I'm not trying to be like, oh, look at these guys, they suck, defensive. No, it's not it at all. These guys' teams are just more defensive. That's what it is. That's the fact of the matter. And when you look at it, you'll understand what I mean as we go along in this discussion of the UU meta. So, 1200s, optimum place, creativity, competitive battles, people know what's going on, but they also like to play around. I think it's perfect. 1300s and 1400s is where it starts to get a little hairy. As you get into these tiers, as you get into the 1300s and 1400s on the ladder, you start seeing some trends are definitely starting to develop. People are using the same stuff mostly. Chansey's running rampant. It's just a bad scene, right? So what this means is that the stall starts to become very prevalent. And so these guys, I'm not saying that they have stall teams, but their teams are more defensive, I feel. And you'll see the next guy's team. But I mean, there's a lot of defense going on in the tier right now. And so I think that a balance like the 1200s needs to be had everywhere. Because right now a lot of people are running, stall, trying to outstall. They're running regenerators like Amoonguss and Slowbro. They're trying to do stuff like this. Don't even get me started on Tornadus. It's just a very, very defensive metagame. And so what I'm trying to do here is, I don't know, I have basically Zapdos and Swampert. Swampert is my physically defensive, and Zapdos is my specially defensive. The rest of my team is either some kind of bulky attacker or a real heavy hitter. So yeah, so I feel like there's just a lot of defense and stall in the metagame as a whole. And as you get further and further up the ladder, I mean, that's really all you run into, except for some people, they might switch up their team a little. They might, use something different. I mean, it's really kind of sucks, to be honest. And so I'm not really a fan of something like that. But as we so let's just talk about like the other things that can be done to alleviate this issue. And I feel that the biggest thing that will fix this issue is, in fact, the coming out of Gen 6 RU. Because the threats there will not be nearly as prevalent as they are in the UU right now. And I like to frequent the lobby in Pokemon Showdown, the UU lobby. That's where I mean, because I play UU most of the time, and so that's where I like to sit. I've gotten to know these guys; they're pretty funny. So yeah, so this guy's talking in the lobby, and he says something like, "I hate how UU really isn't UU anymore." So everyone starts laughing at him. They're like, "Oh, I hate how life isn't life anymore." But I mean, the guy had a point, because when you think about it, Gen 6 UU has so many threats. You have like a Haxorus, a Hydreigon. You had Kyurem Black. That's 170 base attack right there, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. Anyway, it's threatening. It's extremely threatening. You have Victinis. You have Keldeos. You have Mega Evolutions. It is really a scary tier to be in. And so, pause. I just beat the Spoofy right now. He forfeited. Great game, by the way. Really enjoyed playing against you. And if you see this, you're a cool guy. So, and now let's look at this team. You have Claydol, Aggron, Florges right off the bat. Those are 3 defensive Pokemon. Then you have Hydreigon. It's just an absolute threat. You have Krookodile, which a lot of people don't use, but you guys saw my session with Krookodile, so big ups to this guy. And then you have a Braviary, and what this guy does with Braviary is pretty amazing. So, you guys will see what happens as it happens. But, threats in the tier. So you have all these monstrous threats. And so you cannot possibly build a team to counter all of them, you know? But the thing is, you have to do the best you can, or else you will not be able to win. And so these, like, for example, I feel like sometimes Stall can over-centralize the meta, because you have to build like a wall-breaking team. And so maybe that's why I was able to come up on top against these guys, because these guys are, they're playing a little bit more defensively with their Pokemon choice. And so, when you look at my team, I really have, I really have 2 walls. I have the Swampert and the Zapdos. And so, I mean, if those 2 get knocked out, I really don't have anything else to take hits. So, I mean, as you can see, my philosophy with this team is to take out threats before they can take me out. Which is why I have, Mega Aerodactyl. I was playing around with that, and then Banded Victini, because a Banded V-Create probably will shut down Smokin' servers if it hits. It'll just break everything. Well, yeah, so when that guy said that UU really isn't UU anymore, I feel like he had a point. He was really right, because the threats aren't, the threats are so much scarier than they have been in the past. And so that's not necessarily the fault of, what it is the fact that this gen introduced not only Mega Evolutions, but a lot of strong Pokemon. And so, power creep is going on, because something that was incredibly powerful a couple gens ago now is UU. I mean, Victini is UU. When you have 180 base power move before stab, that's scary. And this guy, right now, he earth powered my Magnezone. I was not expecting that, and it really kind of frazzled me for the rest of the game. So, big ups, Ampharos. You are a good player. But getting back to the threats, it's very scary. There's a lot of Pokemon here that I feel shouldn't be. Namely, the big problems I feel like in the tier are Tornadus Therian, because Assault Vest is absolutely ridiculous. I can't believe what really boggles my mind is that no one used it before Blame Truth made a couple sessions with it, or made a video on it. I don't even know what he did, but I mean, and this guy, okay, pause. This guy bringing in a Defiant Braviary on a Defog. Amazing. Great play, I feel like. That was so cool. And right now, if my Aerodactyl, basically, if this Stone Edge didn't hit, I probably would have gotten swept. So, this guy, his team isn't completely defensive, but I mean, he's got some cool ideas. Big ups to this guy as well. And I totally lost my train of thought. But I mean, let's just come back to what it is. I just feel like there's too much stall, there's too much defense in this, but at the same time there are so many threats that are so scary in this tier. I feel like Gen 6 RU will alleviate a lot of these problems. But yeah, they just, for right now, UU is kind of a problem, because I'll get all my I'll get all my accounts to the 1400s, then I face the same things over and over, and it's just not fun. So and then, I was talking about things that I think should be banned. Tornadoes should be banned. I just can't. I mean, it's fast, it hits hard, and it's bulky. I mean, if there was ever an ideal Pokemon, it would be that. I mean, fast, hits hard, and bulky. It can take hits, it can dish hits, and it can hit fast. Like, that's scary. And then the other thing that I think should be banned should be Chansey, but that's for obvious reasons. Chansey's kind of garbage. Should not be in the tier. Because, I mean, the thing has such an astronomical HP number compared to everything, like in all Pokemon, that I feel like it's just kind of ridiculous. It can just take any special hit all day, and then it can outstall you with, you know, Wish, Soft Boiled, Heal Bell, Seismic Toss, or if it wants to throw in a status on there like Thunder Wave or Toxic, like it's really kind of cuckoo. So I think that should be taken out. But all in all, I feel like the tier needs, I mean, the tier is good and it's fun when you run into people using different stuff and, you know, people experimenting. But I mean, the threats are extremely prevalent, and then as you get into the higher levels of the ladder, all you face is stall. So I mean, right here I only win because I have abandoned Victini that can take out Mega Aggron and Florges. But I mean, it is what it is. So thanks guys for listening. Hope you enjoyed. Leave some comments about what you thought, and I'll see you guys later.